Hey there, if you are listening or watching this video, I just want you to know that you are an awesome human being. What's up, everyone? My name is Devin, and I am your host of the Weekly Word. This video is your personal invitation to join me every Wednesday to hear from other healthcare professionals all over the world. We'll be discussing healthcare hot topics, education, resources, advice, and honestly, just great conversation learning about people's journeys into their professions. I cannot wait to see you guys there. As always, stay tuned and stay safe. Our special guest this week is Tatyana. She's a traveling surgical tech with plans on becoming a first assist. We've got some great topics to discuss, such as getting your diploma versus your degree and how to compartmentalize your emotions during your workday. Let's jump right in. What's up, everybody? I have Tatyana here. We're going to be starting the Weekly Word segment number 4. So let's just jump right into it and hear from you. Can you please introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from, where you are working without violating HIPAA?
Yeah. So my name is Tatyana. I'm a traveling surgical technologist. I am currently in Connecticut, but I've also worked in Florida, Massachusetts, and Texas.
Massachusetts and Texas. Okay. Okay. So traveling surgical tech, did you always travel or did you start off not traveling?
So I did my training in Florida. So I kind of grew up in Florida and started off there, worked there for about a year. And I always had the idea to start traveling even before I started school. My plan was to eventually travel. And one of my coworkers that was a traveler, she talked me into starting before I really thought I would. And she was like, pretty much one day, she said, "Girl, you are good enough. You know, you have the ability to go out here and travel. Here's my recruiter's number." I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I took the offer. I reached out to her recruiter, and he sent me a handful of, not even a handful, maybe like 2 or 3 different assignments he showed to me. And it was one in Massachusetts that I was like, okay, why not?
Yeah.
And the manager called me like maybe an hour after he told me. And she was like, "You're great." You know, we had our little phone interview. She was like, "You seem great. I'm going to extend the offer." And I put in my 2 weeks notice that Monday, and I was in Massachusetts in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How long have you been traveling?
This summer will make 2 years now.
Okay. And how long have you been in your field in total?
As a surgical tech, going on 3 years now, which is crazy to say, but going on 3 years.
Okay.
But in the medical field as a whole since 2017, because I also do medical coding as well.
I saw that on your bio. So that kind of like leads into like questions number 2 and 3 about like what got you interested into this field, and did you always do what you currently do? And if not, what else did you do?
So so a little back history.
Okay.
I started off working at one of those schools that, this is before I had like the knowledge of like the background, the history of these schools. One of those schools that, you know, the tuition is extremely high and you get into all this debt. And when you graduate, there's really no good job placement. So I was working at one of those schools in the call center, and that's how I found out about medical billing and coding, because I was enrolling students into those programs.
Okay.
So I found a program in my city locally that I can go on campus, and I ended up enrolling in that program. That was a year long. I got certified, and my first job was actually in a hospital, working for a hospital. I ended up working remote for a year. While I was in school for medical coding, though, my teacher suggested that we go upstairs to the surgical tech class to see, you know, instruments and things that we're reading in the charts, to actually get a picture with it. So we went up there, and I'm talking to the students, and I'm seeing everything. I'm like, "Wait, y'all in surgery? Like, like y'all got y'all hands in people's bodies?" So, so I went back home and did more research on it. I'm like, this is amazing. So my plan from then on was finish school, get a job coding for a year, and then enroll in the surgical tech program because there was a waiting list. So once I got off the waiting list, I put in my 2 weeks at my coding job, and then I did some remote coding work while I was in school for surgical tech. And yeah, I'm here.
Wow. How is medical coding? Like, is it extremely difficult? Is it challenging? Is it?
It can be, it can be a pain because, uh, you can't, how things need to be coded in order to be, paid for by insurance properly, but you can't really tell physicians, you can't really tell them how to do certain things or what they need to note or dictate in their charts. But you know what they did, but you can only do so much because of different violations. You're telling them how to get money, pretty much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that could be a little bit of a pain. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed it. I did ED coding, so I was reading charts in the ED, and it was funny some days. Like some things that I'd be reading, I'm like, this is hilarious. So really, it was like reading a book to me because some of the
Right.
information was just hilarious. So
Like, how
there's
do I
different
code
specialties.
for the patient throwing feces at the ceiling? What is the
Listen, and there's crazy codes for everything. There's literally a code for everything.
Yes. It's so overwhelming. Like, I'm in grad school and we did
Mhm.
I felt like a brief intro to like coding, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
no. I it's
It's a lot. It is
too
a lot.
much. It's
Like my book is like this thick, like just
no.
for diagnosis coding.
Yes. So you enrolled as a surgical tech and you've already graduated. So what did
Mhm.
that educational process look like for you? Like the road to get there to graduate?
So the program that I enrolled in was a 15-month diploma program,
Okay.
which was like the same thing as my coding program as well. So I didn't get
Mhm.
an associate's degree, which I'm okay with because for this field, you don't need a degree. The biggest thing is to be certified. Make sure you go into accredited school. So
Okay.
I did the 15-month program, and the first half, it was, the didactic portion and our in-class labs. So we learned that we didn't have like a midterm class. It was kind of like combined in with everything else.
Mhm.
But anatomy and physiology, pharmacology, like disease process, really, I feel like a lot of things that you would need for other medical professions as well. Like
That's
it's the
what it sounds
basics.
like.
Yeah.
Yes.
As well as, did I say by, man, brain fart. What else? Of course, like our surgical tech specific studies
Right.
when it comes down to sterilization and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So that program, we did the first half. I want to say school started in like August, and we started clinicals in February, like near the end of February, beginning of March, if I remember correctly. And we had 3 different sites, and they were all hospitals.
Hmm.
And our class was basically divided amongst those 3 facilities. And most of us stayed within the same facility for the whole time. Some people went back and forth. I
Hmm.
stayed at my facility for the entire time. And February until September, October was my clinicals. So it was a very
Wow.
lengthy time. Yeah. And I'm realizing that not every school has that much clinical experience. And I'm very thankful that I did because I feel like I was more ready than some others were
Hmm.
when I got out of school. But when I finished my clinicals, we did like a 2 weeks worth of just straight studying for our certification exam.
Hmm.
We took our exam on our last day of class, and I found out like 2 days later that I passed. My teacher actually called me, and I was at work. I
Yay.
was waitressing at the time, and we're just getting ready to open. I see her name pop up. I'm like, why is she calling? Like, we're not going to get our results for like a week. So I answered, and she tells me I literally run around the bar like, I graduated. I mean,
Yes.
I passed my certification. I was super hyped. My manager bought me a drink. Like, it was a great night.
Yes. So 15 months, and that was a diploma. So you said there's also an associate's degree that you can get as well.
Correct.
What's the length? Is it just 2 years versus the 15 months? Okay. But it's
Yes.
the same, like you take the same exam and you're certified all the same.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
The
So,
unfortunate part about it is that whether you get your diploma or you get your degree, like the pay rate is still the same. So for me, that's why I was like, I'm not going to go into debt, spend more money. Like I spent significantly less going the diploma route than going the degree route, and I get paid the exact same.
what's up with that?
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, this is just me not knowing. I mean, even though I work in healthcare, I mean, that just shows like where you kind of get into your own bubble with with what you do. Like you're not aware
Yeah.
of what other people do or like what it takes to get other things, done. Um,
Yeah.
so if you get your degree, what would be, I guess, in your opinion, like the benefit or like the difference? Is there like you said pay is obviously not different, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So the benefits really isn't much for an associate's degree in science of surgical technology. Um,
Hmm.
my biggest suggestion to people, because they are trying to move into everyone getting their degree, which is great. But of course, if you want to see our degree, I would want more incentive. But you can't always get what you want. But until that's fully implemented, my suggestion would be go the diploma route, get certified, and then get a degree in something that will benefit you professionally in the long run. So, like for myself, I want to get my health information management degree. I
Okay.
can pair that with my medical coding and go further with that.
I see.
So
So it
that's my
really just
biggest
depends
suggestion.
on what you want, ultimately, like what you want to do,
Correct.
really.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Because I saw, and if you don't want to, mention this, we will just clip this part out.
Okay.
I saw one of your Instagram posts about the difference between, you had a conversation about like, nursing versus, becoming a surgical technician. And so that very much, interests me, especially like what you mentioned, that a lot of the, classes, the prerequisites are the same, but,
Mm-hmm.
people talking about like, how do you know which way
Mm-hmm.
that you should go? And so I
Mm-hmm.
really, I felt like what you said was very straightforward, but again, something that you just kind of reiterated is, knowing what it is that you want to do, and then having an understanding of what each role is responsible for, helps you make, a better decision. And so
Yeah,
I guess my next question, which this is not on the interview, sorry,
it's okay.
is because this is something that I'm actually not really aware of because I've never worked in the operating room outside of like one time during clinicals, and it was a cabbage and I was so cold that I couldn't function. um, is like the role and scope of a surgical tech, because I saw you also had a post about pharmacology and I was just like, okay, I need to know what
Yeah.
what is the role and scope of a surgical tech?
Okay. So this does kind of get like blurred because everybody expects us to just stand there and really not know anything, just pass instruments. But it's really much more than that.
Right.
So we are expected to know the procedure. Like
Right.
9 times out of 10, if I'm working with a surgeon and I need to know his next steps, I need to know what he's thinking 3 times ahead of what he's thinking,
Right.
he or she.
Right.
And so, really, the things that we do are we come in, we set up the room,
Mhm.
we check sterile integrity, we make sure we have our instruments, supplies. Um, we make sure sometimes we're working closely with our nurse to get a little information on this our patients, see if there's any allergies or any other things, any other comorbidities that we need to know leading up to the procedure. During the actual procedure, we are actually scrubbed in. I know this is not everyone knows. A circulating nurse in the OR is not scrubbed in, is not sterile.
Right.
Surgical tech, we are scrubbed in and we're sterile. So we're actually right there. We're getting our hands dirty. We are retracting, or sometimes it's just myself and the surgeon, and I'm assisting. Sometimes the surgeon may have an assist because it may be a little more like bigger procedure where you need two full sets of hands versus half my set because I'm also grabbing things that they
Right.
need.
Right.
You know what I mean? The things that we cannot do, we can't suture a patient closed.
Okay.
So I'm going back to school for first assisting. That would be the next step. Then at that point, thanks. But first assisting, then you can, you can suture the patient clothes, you can give local, things like that. As a surgical tech, we cannot do that.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing there. We can only do so much tissue manipulation of the patient. Like we can retract. We can't bovie directly. Well, I guess I have to explain what bovieing is. Cauterizing tissue to stop bleeding. We can't do it directly, but if the surgeon has a tool on something that's bleeding, I can buzz the tool, which would then buzz the patient's tissue. So it's kind of like a thin line, but you still got to know what you can and cannot do.
Right. That would be very, very important, especially if it's just you and the surgeon.
Correct.
There. And it's just like,
because it can get real sticky. Sometimes they're asking you to cut things that you can't cut. You're perfectly capable of doing it, but you can't.
Yes.
So yeah, it does get a little sticky. You just got to stay in your place.
Yes. So first assist, up and coming. How much longer, or like, what is the preparation for that? Because I had no idea that was something else that you could do. So what do you have to do to become a first assist?
So the program for first assisting is about a year. That program, I'm trying to think of the list of classes. I think I do have to do like more A&P again, which sucks. I don't think it transfers over, but whatever, I'm just still learning. You can never learn too much.
Right.
There's a class for like the ethics of a first assist, how to do billing as a first assist, because we can bill patients directly. Okay. It's a little more in depth. I can't think of the whole course outline, but it's a year long. Within that year, it is online. It's fully online except for 1 week.
Okay.
So there is 1 week where I'll have to go to the campus, which is in Tennessee. And we'll do like a lab portion. And I didn't realize until I kind of spoke with someone directly how in depth the lab portion is. We'll actually be like doing procedures on like, I don't know if they're cadavers or whatever it is, but we'll have like actual tissue to actually practice on, which is great versus, the ones that you can buy online, and, it's not the same.
It's not.
So we'll have a class for that. And then once that year of didactic portion is done, then I'll have to do clinicals. So in that portion of clinicals, since it's online, I'll have to find a facility. So most places they do it with their job, and I'll have surgeons sign off for every procedure that I do with them.
Okay. When will you be done?
Expected to be next summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to be a surgical tech first, or is this something like let's say, like if you just graduate from high school and you're like, I want to be a first assist, is there a path to go straight to that, or?
So you cannot go directly to first assist, but you can go from like RN to first assist or LPN to first assist, surgical tech to first assist, but you need some type of education before that to get into first assist, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, wow. That's really, really, really cool. So what would you say is the biggest challenge in your profession? If you could name just one.
Okay. I actually made a post about this. I think this is what I had to learn to control. So anybody that's big into zodiac signs, I'm a Cancer. And us Cancers, we're a little emotional.
Okay.
So it was I had to learn how to separate my emotion from work, because I specialize in cardiac vascular. My very first job was I was doing transplants, open heart surgeries, vascular, working with a lot of oncology surgeons. So I would see these patients, hear some of these stories, and I'm like, wow, that's heartbreaking. I've had patients younger than me have to get lobectomies. I've done, organ procurements on kids under 18. So it can definitely get really emotional and really hit you. and I had to learn how to separate the two. So honestly, when the drapes go up, like in my head, in order to control that emotion, it's no, like I don't know who that is. Like I completely separate it. You know what I mean? Um, and then, you know, sometimes that dark humor has to come in order to help me to cope.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see, I think, I don't remember if that was yesterday or the day before. I saw the discussion on your page about that. And you know, I think ultimately we all need to just respect everybody's, you know, experience and respect how they choose to, you know, how they choose to move, because it's having, I mean, I think there needs to be some type of level or degree of being able to compartmentalize because of what we do, you know, in the healthcare field. It is so easy to get sucked in. And that's
It is.
not like, I don't want to say that in like a negative way, because these are, you know, our patients are human. They're people. They have stories, they have lives, things like that. But, you know, that compassion that you have on the inside, it kicks in and it wants to, you know, yeah. And
Kind of just like
so
overtake you. Yeah.
overtake you,
Yeah.
and then you're frozen or
Yeah.
you're stuck, and it's like you can't do that, you can't be like that, especially, you know, you're in procedures, you know, you could be
Yeah.
totally frozen somewhere and the surgeon's like, hello, give me the,
Yeah.
and you're sitting off in here trying to imagine their lives and everything else, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, you, especially, you know, patient safety, the patient's under anesthesia, like you have to be on it. And so
Correct.
I really appreciated, you know, where you were coming from. And I also appreciated where other people were coming from too, just about needing to detach, and that in compartmentalize, which is how you know, are able to complete your role and your job successfully, you know,
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, successfully.
and also successful, you know, for the patient, you know, for the procedure.
Correct.
I definitely had a hard time with that, uh, graduating initially. And then I don't know, I felt like I kind of went on this wave where I was so detached that I
Mm-hmm.
felt like cold. Just be, you know,
Mm.
I used to work in the ER, and at first, you know, working with kids, especially, that's like,
Oh, I can't. I can't. That's
I
one
can't.
specialty I cannot do.
No. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Um, but then I'm like, you know what? This, it's not that you can't be compassionate. And I think that's another thing. I don't know if maybe people um maybe don't see, is just because you are compartmentalizing does not mean that you cannot be compassionate.
I agree.
There's a difference.
I
Um,
agree.
but there can be like the whole opposite end of the spectrum where you're cold and calloused and it displays in your care and your behavior. And that's a whole other issue, which we
Yeah,
can
it
talk
is.
about a whole other time. And
It
so I
is.
know, you know, I just want to like throw that in there, that you can be compassionate and compartmentalize at the same time
You
and
definitely
still be
can.
awesome at your job.
Exactly.
And that's on surgical techs. How do you stay warm?
um,
Or is it really that cold?
okay, so I'm gonna ask you this just because I'm in a cold state. You don't mean literally, right?
I'm in the OR.
Because it is cold in Connecticut right now.
In the OR. How
Gotcha.
long are you gonna be there in Connecticut? Is it snowing still?
I
Say no.
no, but the sun then came. I'm looking out the window right now. The sun came out like an hour ago. It looked like it wanted to rain. It rained yesterday. Did it rain yesterday? It rained the day before. I got stuck in the rain leaving work. I literally had to take a trash bag, put it over my head, make it like a poncho, and cover my whole body to run to my car, which was down the hill in the parking lot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Sorry, off topic. But yeah, I'm here to the end of June.
Okay.
I signed a 15-week contract.
Woo.
Normally they're 13 weeks. I don't
Right.
know how I ended up doing 15 weeks, even though it's only 2 extra weeks. It seems
That,
like a lifetime.
yeah, it hits different when you have that one extra 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so to the end of June.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, what, so you mentioned, so you do cardiovascular Did you say vascular or?
So in the I don't know if it's just an OR thing or if it's like a regular thing, but there's cardiac, like open
Yes.
heart, and then there's vascular. So like peripheral vascular.
Okay. Yes. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do both.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess no, I would say everybody that does vascular does cardiac, but that's not true.
Right.
So yeah, those are like my main two specialties. I trained in transplant. I haven't done it in a while, but I do miss it. I just don't miss that call. Being on call for transplant is something
Yes.
different.
That organ drop, you gotta come now.
Oh man. But I can't do anything. So well, I can do most things. So general surgery, plastic surgery to an extent, or small orthopedic surgeries, no like total joints. Those are I have to really learn those. Spinal surgeries I do not do. Total joints and spinal and neuro are two specialties that I don't really dabble in just because I wasn't trained in it. But I wouldn't mind learning it. But I do most specialties.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
It's being able to, and I don't want to sound crazy saying this. I guess most people that'll be watching this works in medicine, so I won't sound crazy.
I'm
but
crazy,
it's really being look, so it's cool. I really think it's being able to physically see the anatomy. Like,
yeah,
it's so cool, like to know like what I potentially look like on the inside.
Yeah.
Or what I don't want to look like on the inside. I did a lot of liver transplants, and anytime I'm doing like a general surgery where you have an open abdominal case, anytime we look up to the liver, I'm like, oh, that liver is beautiful, because I've seen so many unhealthy livers, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm more cognizant of how I take care of myself. And also I get on my friends and family because of that. So yeah, it's really the anatomy. I'm a huge anatomy fan. I've always loved that since I was a kid.
I think that's cool though, because you know, like from my perspective, I only see what organs look like on imaging. I mean, in the textbook, you know,
like those colors aren't the same.
No, like when you have your patient case, like you're taking care of a patient and they have something going on and you get like imaging or whatever, you're like, yeah, okay. But a part of my mind is like, I wonder what it looks like for real.
Yeah.
You know, and so I totally am right there with you. Is like, I think that is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
fascinating. And then now I'm at the point where I can like look, like before I'm like, it just looks all red and it all looks like one big giant thing. But now I can look and like point out what certain organs are, you know, what looks abnormal. It's really cool to notice my growth over time.
Yes, exactly. That's amazing. Yeah. If you could give one key takeaway or piece of advice for someone looking to get into your field, what would it be?
Biggest thing, and I think this can go with any type of profession in medicine, is making sure you have some type of balance prior to, or at least in the early stages of whatever you're studying. Because once you get deeper in, and then you're trying to like balance your life and, you know, schedule things, it gets a little bit more difficult. I think personally, most things can be done with a good strategic plan. I am a planner. Like the last 5 years of my life has been very strategically planned. And of course, not everything goes exactly to plan, but I feel like as long as you have some type of course or plan of action, you can do most things successfully. I'm very avid on planning and figuring out things ahead of time so you can get a jump start on it versus stressing yourself out and being overwhelmed in the moment.
That's a good point. Plan.
Yeah.
Yes, especially, you know, in healthcare, I know, you know, something new is always popping up that you didn't plan for.
Correct.
So when you don't have a plan in general and then the unexpected happens, it's like,
Yeah. Like you really don't know what to do now.
You really don't know what to do, and you're scrambling, and
throws you off track.
especially,
And
yes, and especially when it happens when you are at work.
yeah. Yeah. Had my fair share of those.
Yes. So plan. Very, very true. In your opinion, what is a current healthcare issue, and uh, and how can we fix it?
We were actually talking about this at work last night. So
Yes.
I, insane person that I am, I took I took a 3 to 11 shift on this assignment.
Okay.
So yesterday evening, our relief comes in and she is explaining how, they're understaffed and management was asking her to work a shift that she really did not want to work. And she was basically saying, I'm either going to have to either go per diem or PRN, or I'm going to have to leave altogether because, I'm just not getting what I need. And I understand what the facility needs, but as a person, I need things as well. And that kind of swirled into these facilities treating, of course, it's a business. At the end of the day, hospitals are a business. I get that. But we are also people, and they're still treating us as a business. And they're just separating the two and completely throwing out that we're people, we have things that we need as well. So I think the biggest thing is, how the increase of travelers, because facilities aren't treating us well. Nobody wants to stay full time. No one wants to be. No one wants to commit to jobs now because we don't feel like we're part of the team. We don't feel appreciated. We no longer get. No one gets pensions anymore. 401ks compared with what they used to be are crap. So I really think the biggest problem is how healthcare treats the professionals. And that needs to be changed, or it's just going to continue the way it is, or possibly get worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we are currently on the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to be politically correct. Any opinions are my own. I'm just making a disclaimer and do not represent my place of employment. Throw that out there. This is more of a conglomerate opinion since I've been in healthcare. Mm-hmm. Girl, you struck a nerve. Like, I don't even know where to begin with that, or really how to unpack that, because it's still an evolving issue and it's not getting better. And
no, not at all.
I think now there's people in healthcare that are standing up and are advocating and talking about it, and the conversations definitely need to be had, but it's like, what's really being done about it?
Correct. Oh, this has been on my mind so heavy lately.
Because literally at the end of the day, like you said, healthcare is still a business. But the thing is, these businesses would not function without us. Hello.
Yes. These people running the businesses don't even know what we really do.
Y'all not even there. You're not even there. Like, who's doing these surgeries? Who's taking care of these patients? Who's cleaning your facilities? Who's doing you physically, like, you cannot just replace us like that. Please. Correct. I would love to see a fully robotic hospital. I challenge that.
Even robotic surgery, I'm still scrubbed in during the entire surgery.
Exactly.
I am still there during the entire robotic surgery. Nothing could be fully robotic.
Exactly. And I'm not really, I mean, you can, definitely let me know your opinion. From when I first became a nurse in 2015, I felt things were different. Even in 2015, in the short, almost 7 years that I've been a nurse in, in healthcare, things were much simpler. Like, yes, technology in healthcare was always evolving, but it just seemed like you could go to work, take care of your patients, do your job, and there wasn't a lot of all this ancillary things that you had to do throughout the day to make sure that the facility was bringing in money. Like you did not have to be focused on that. And there has been so much that has changed, like audit this, audit that, add this, add that. Like if I wanted to work and be on the computer all day, I would have picked a completely different field.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. I mean, nobody, I think, really likes to document. Not that we don't understand that it's important, but we want to be hands-on taking care of our patients. That's what we like
Correct.
signed up for. And now it's like facilities are trying to do the most with the least.
Yeah.
And they don't value experience
at all.
Experienced staff. Do you guys want to keep having high turnover rates where all you have are new grads or all you have are travelers? Not saying anything's wrong with travelers. I think travelers are very, very
I get it.
vital,
I completely get it.
You can't have a well-functioning institution with employees that have no idea what's going on, that are just there temporarily. We're just throwing band-aids at a huge forest fire, and it is just spreading. And now it is nationwide, if not worldwide. We are experiencing all healthcare leaving the field because we're sick of being undervalued, underappreciated, underpaid. And you have so many, people like you who are so knowledgeable, so well-spoken, so intelligent, so experienced and ready to work, but you're undervalued. And you're like, you know what? I'm gonna sit at home and look out my window. I'm just not gonna go. And it's not because I don't want to, but you think you can replace me with somebody else for just a short period of time, and then you keep having to do that, where I could stick around for the long haul if you guys make it, worth my while.
Exactly. And it's not always just money. Like, yes, money is definitely necessary because we need it in order to live. We need it in order to function. But it's also, how we're treated. Like, like when you have coworkers, or not even coworkers, when you have management talking to you crazy, when you feel like you're overworked and no one cares, like it comes to a point where you're like, I'm fed up. And you can't be mad. You can't be mad at that. You can't be mad at staff for putting themselves first. And that's what it's coming down to at this point.
And it's systemic, because I do also, understand that no, it is never okay for anybody, managers, leaders, directors, CEOs, CNOs, surgeons, anybody to speak disrespectfully to anybody else. But it's like, I got to be careful. This problem is systemic. It is a domino effect. Yes, maybe someone is talking to you crazy. That's like, that is your boss or something. There is pressure coming from even higher up.
Exactly.
And higher up. And that is crushing us down. And we feel like we're at the bottom and we're just getting the brunt end of the stick. It's like, what's going on up there? Hello.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know. Because we feel the weight and it's so heavy. But now you're mad when we leave.
And then you would think by now, at least, the past 2 years, since this whole panini started, like you would
Panorama.
think they would realize, right? Pandora's box.
That's what I'm saying.
You would think by now they would realize that you waste so much money on travelers. I'm gonna still take the check, but you would save so much money if you would treat your staff right, pay them well, and work with them on certain things, versus continuously hiring a new traveler after new traveler after new traveler, or hiring new grad after new grad after new grad. When these new grads get their experience, leave and go somewhere else to get $3 pay raise. Like, you're
Hello.
spending more and more money training new people. You lose money training as a business, thinking as a business professional,
Mm-hmm.
as a business owner, you lose money hiring new people, having to train them. Because now you're finding two people to do one person's job. But it's not sticking. I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know
just a
either. It's
surgical
weird.
tech.
It's weird. No, I mean, you are not just a surgical tech at all. I mean, you're speaking the truth. And it is definitely not to say that new grads do not need experience, and they do need training, but
Correct.
they can see the systemic issues that are going on, and they're also looking out for themselves, as they should. Like,
Correct.
and this is not to scare anybody that wants to get into any field in healthcare. If that is your passion and that is what you want to do, you should definitely go for it. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I agree.
But if getting your experience and moving on where you feel appreciated, if that is what is valuable to you, then that is what you should do. And, it's not to look down on anyone that is still in their same position. Everyone has a different situation going on, and whatever is
Correct.
working for you is what is working for you. But like you said, it's the issue is not new grads or new people or the travelers. It's not appreciating the staff, period. Like, you may be able to get those travelers, but they're only there for a short period of time, and maybe they're gonna stay until their assignment is done.
Mm-hmm.
and dip. And then it's like, what do you do after their position is over? You need somebody, else, but then you can't get a full-time employee, really, or it's extremely difficult, because it's like, your trash is on the street and I drive by it every day.
Yeah.
It's still there. Nobody picked it up. So I'm gonna keep on driving.
And then in the world of social media, it's so easy to find out the BS going on at different facilities. Like, I can figure it out before I don't even have to put an application in. I can just go on a Facebook group or something, ask a question, and get a whole list of people's opinions.
Yes. And formulate your own opinions, and it's not to like steer anybody away from any particular facility. Do what it is that you would like to do, what you feel is best. But what me and Tatyana are talking about is just this systemic issue in healthcare, nation, worldwide, being underappreciated, and it just having a trickle down effect to short staffing, lower resources, and it's just a continued cycle, and they're just throwing band-aids at it, and it has just pummeled out of control. I mean, the beginning of the pandemic was one thing, but we are now 2 years, and we are nowhere closer to fixing that problem. And underappreciation, like what she mentioned, is not just financial. Like, let's just get down to the bare bones of just respecting people as human beings.
Correct.
Like, yes, we would like more pay, but like, can you speak to me nice?
Listen, I am the person that I will correct you. I don't care who you are. I don't care what position you are. You could be the meanest surgeon in the facility. Who are you talking to? Yeah, I've had a telesurgeon before. Like, he was going off yelling middle of the procedure, and this isn't super common. Everyone thinks that surgeons are super mean, and the majority of the ones that I've worked with are super cool. But this one, his anxiety goes up and he starts yelling. I literally stopped, turned to him. I said, "Calm down." I was like, "Relax. It's not that serious." Like, I literally had to tell him, like, calm down, relax. But sometimes people just, like you said, just don't know how to talk to you.
Yes, we need to do better on the inside, but not just amongst peers, but our leaders.
Yes.
All of us. It takes all of us to start working on respect, not just, because there's a lot of emphasis on you need to respect your peers. Baby, we doing that.
This is a different generation
trying
now.
To.
Listen, I feel I'm a little scared for these what is it, Gen X? They don't care.
Is it X or is it Z? Or is it both?
XYZ.
Wait, is X is there an X now? I
don't know. Maybe I just confused the both of them.
No. Maybe there is. Look.
No, I think you're right. I think it is Gen Z.
let me see, is there a Gen X?
Is there a Gen X? I'm a millennial. I'm not a Gen.
Oh, wait, that was from, what does that say? 1960s to 1970s. Okay,
Okay,
so we're
okay,
Gen Z.
okay, okay,
Not
okay,
we,
okay.
but
So
there is one.
yes, the
Yes.
Gen Z, that different generation. And
yes.
They're not taking anything.
No. And we are millennials, but that's a whole other conversation. There are different ones.
There are.
We cover a very interesting span of time, and we are not all the same.
Yes.
So just before I ask my next question, I really just want to express gratitude and how much appreciation that I have for your page. I know I've said this probably twice already. I've been following your page, and I absolutely love your platform and what you are using it for. If you guys have not already, please follow _ for the love of surgery. This is her right here. I really love the fact that, like, I feel like I'm there, with you. Like, you bring us into your procedures, and it's not just like taking pictures. There is so much education and awareness behind every single photo. And baby, when I'm scrolling, I'm like, didn't even know that. Didn't even know that. Now I know this. Now I know that.
I love that.
And
I love that.
And I love that you also are building a community and inviting people to have conversations as well, instead of just, talking at your audience, or just like, okay, here's my fact for the day. Next, you are cultivating important conversations. And I think that is also a huge part of generating awareness in healthcare, to get people interested, especially we need more people in our field. But when you don't have that awareness and that information out there, it's like, who wants to even be interested? But like, seeing the stuff that you post, I'm like, that looks so intricate. I don't think I would want to do that. I'm like, what tool is that? They all look like candy canes to me. Or like pliers. And I'm just like, there looks like about 175 of them on that.
Tweezers. I'm like, tweezers. Okay.
Or a crowbars. That's my mind sees candy canes, crowbars, pliers, and tweezers.
Okay.
Maybe an occasional Kelly clamp or forceps.
Look at you.
That's it. But everything looks the same. But you have no idea the reach that you have, being transparent. Someone is always watching you, which I know that you already know, but you being open and being honest and being transparent and being informative, like, you are touching so many people. You have no idea. Someone might be like, you know what, I want to be like her, and especially because you're spreading positivity as well. It's a positive experience all the way around. And so if you guys have not already said, please go and follow her, even if you do not want to be a surgical tech. If you just want interesting, enlightening, and engaging content and conversation, please. And thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there
anything else that you would like for our audience that's watching today to know about you, your platform? Do you have a business, resources, anything?
So as far as business wise, I'm really trying to get into the education portion more of surgical tech.
That makes sense.
Surgical technology. Yes. I've always said, like, I don't want to be a teacher, but I really like educating. So I'm trying to get more into educating, not just specifically surgical technology, but different avenues that can help in different jobs in the medical field. So I have like flashcards on my website, which is for the loveofsurgery.com. I have flashcard PDF download that you can learn different instruments if you want to get into the field. I recently just put out a med-term dictionary / workbook. A lot of people initially asked me, well, if I want to get into medicine, my classes don't start for X amount of time. How do I get a head start? My thing was always medical terminology, because it's like a whole nother language. And people just don't know where to get those resources from. They don't know if, a lot of people have asked me, hey, is this book or these flashcards on Amazon a good buy? I don't know. I've never had them. I've never looked at them. I can't tell you. So I kind of took it into my own hands to create a resource where I know for sure that the information is correct and accurate, and it will be helpful and beneficial. So that's kind of what my website business platform is really based off right now.
So that fortheloveofsurgery.com.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Yes. You guys heard it, fortheloveofsurgery.com, to get extra resources, educational resources on how to get a head start, or even if you are already in school and you want some extra resources, to check it out. I think that also is important too, is being able to get tested information from reliable sources instead of scrolling through Amazon or scrolling through Google and you got to read 5,000 reviews and someone's like, my book came ripped, so I didn't even read it. Right?
Exactly.
Like, okay, but was the content good?
Yeah.
So
did you learn anything?
Right. And the fact that you took the time to put all of that together in one place is also just, I won't even ask how many hours or days. Weeks, years that it took to put that together, but that you took all of your experience and all of the knowledge that you have, in addition to it, you using it, and you are applying it every day.
Yeah.
That it's relatable, that it's, it's applicable because you are doing these things every day. Like, yes, textbooks help too, but everybody learns differently. And so, you may have that resource that really just makes it click for somebody versus reading the index and glossary from 1,000 pages. And it's like, wow, I didn't learn anything new because I couldn't even pay attention.
Yeah. My biggest thing too is, textbooks in school, it's still very traditional, know, and I like to put the twist of like real life, because there's school and then there's real life, and I like to incorporate the real life information because it kind of sucks to go get your first job or go into clinicals and like, wait a second, I wasn't expecting all of this to happen, or I wasn't expecting things to be done this way. And the reality of it, putting I guess meshing the reality and school together is what I really focus on.
Yes, I think that's really helpful too. Like you said, is you're in school and they teach you how to take exams to pass the course, and then as soon as you're thrown out in the field, you're like,
my textbook didn't say this.
Right. Had no idea we were going to be on a jungle safari. They didn't say that.
Yeah.
And then you feel frozen almost. All that knowledge that you have is just like, how do I apply this to this particular situation?
Exactly.
So I absolutely love that. To wrap things up, one of the last questions on the interview was about the patient, experience exercise, which was wearing your scrub cap. I make my scrub caps like wild, colorful, vibrant, because I want to bring some positivity, just some light, something different. Our our scrubs, like our uniforms, are all so, plain. Some of them might be different colors, but I've gotten a lot of feedback. Like, I express myself with the scrub cap that I'm wearing. I get a lot of patient feedback like, oh, wow, that looks wild. It can be a conversation starter. Yes. But that's what I like, is I feel bright and more energetic when I've got something super colorful on my head. And ultimately, I just want, everyone who has a scrub cap, from me, to feel a little bit of joy, because I definitely have so much joy when I'm making these items. And so I definitely cannot wait for you to receive it. I did see the one that you have. I love the embroidery.
No, this is actually, I love my Cricut Maker. It's the heat transfer vinyl. Love it.
What?
Can you see it?
Can you zoom in?
I've made. Can I? I don't know. Can you see
what? Okay, because wow. Okay. That's nice.
Yonk, yonk.
That is nice. So just whenever, you get the chance, when you wear it, just give me any type of feedback, even if there was no extra experience behind it. I'm always looking for constructive criticism and feedback. That's how I improve, and that's how I've, continued to provide scrub caps all over the world up until this point, is just feedback from you guys that I'm providing the service to. Again, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on to this segment. You are so intelligent. You are so well spoken and just so engaging. Absolutely love your content. I love your page. I love what you stand for. And again, I just thank you for taking the time out of your day to meet with me, and for not just me, but for everyone else watching to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a great conversation.
Thank you. So if there's anything else, do you have any other questions for me before we sign off?
I don't think so. No. Okay. So I will ask you. I'm gonna interview you real quick. So you said you've been a nurse since 2015.
Yes.
What's your specialty? Med surg, ICU?
So right now, I currently work in oncology. I've been working in adult leukemia for a little over 3 years. But I did not start off in oncology. I actually started off as an LVN, and then became a registered nurse. I've done a little bit of SNF, geriatrics, rehab, ER trauma, medical and cardiovascular ICU, and then eventually transitioned to oncology. So that's I dabbled.
Gotcha.
And I'm still dabbling.
It's
very much dabbling,
What's the difference between an LVN and an LPN?
They are the same. I think like certain parts of the country say one terminology versus another, but they are the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
I think on the East Coast, I think they call them LPNs.
Yeah, that's what I know the term as.
Yes, but at least here they call them LVNs.
Oh, okay.
But they're the same. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that was my only question.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the questions. I love to talk. If you can't already talk your head off. But I won't do that. We'll go ahead and close out. So thank you again. You seem very genuine. Like, you're not like, oh, I want to be a social media influencer, but you want to use your knowledge and your platform to spread awareness, which is kind of like you have an influence on the community that you are in, and also that you are building, around you as well. And so it's like kind of comes with it.
Yeah.
Whether that be like completely intentional or not, but the fact that you are using it, so positively, like that is what is just propelling it completely forward. Is people want to hear what you have to say, especially, like when I see, I have post notifications on. When I see it pop up, I'm like, what's she talking about? I'm like, okay, she in the OR today. Cute. Because you want to hear more, and that's the influence, that's the pull that you have, even with people that aren't in your field. So you just keep doing you, and just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll continue to see the growth that I know that you've already been seeing. But it's amazing.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Right. Well, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, but thank you again for meeting me. If you need anything else, just feel free to DM me. I will be sure to respond.
Will do.
Thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. You too. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
That's it for today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed and maybe even learned something new. Whether this is your first time here or you're a regular, thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you soon. Do you or someone you know want to join the Weekly Word? Send your requests and nominations to info@elaynachanice.com. You can also shop for your new favorite scrub caps and medical accessories on Etsy by searching for us, Elayna Chanice. And finally, if you have not already, hit that like and subscribe button and follow us on all major social media platforms at Elayna Chanice. As always, stay tuned and stay safe. See you next week.